More than 1,000 schools have temporarily closed or shifted to online learning due to COVID-19 outbreaks just days into the new school year. Others have closed for another reason: school shootings. Several U.S. schools, finally back in person after more than a year of remote learning, have locked down in recent weeks amid reports of active shooters. That's struck panic among students, staff, and parents already on edge about coronavirus risks. "It's just like double trauma," said teacher Laurie Schaefer, at Mount Tabor High School in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. "Of the year of remote, finally seeing the kids, and then a week and a half in, we are stopped in our tracks, quite literally, and have to find a way to restart yet again. It is life-altering." Last Wednesday, on the 8th day of classes, one student fatally shot another inside Mount Tabor High School, causing schools to lock down for hours throughout the district. EMS tended to several students who were panicked by the incident, and at least one student had a seizure. Schaefer said she was about to go to lunch when an assistant principal sprinted past, shouting that a gun had been fired into a walkie-talkie. She pulled, visibly shaken, students from the hallway into her classroom, turned out the lights, locked the doors, and closed the blinds. Hungry and afraid, they sheltered in place for hours as they texted and called loved ones. "One of my former students sat next to me and just started talking about witnessing the shooting, which took place in front of her. I listened and encouraged and hugged," Schaefer said. Schaefer said the students were eventually questioned by police, boarded onto buses, and taken to their families. She said seeing her students in evacuation lines with their hands laced behind their heads was jarring. Nabria Varner, 15, attended her second week of high school when she heard shots ring out in her building and took shelter inside the school gym. Her mother, Sasha Patterson, was sitting at home working remotely when she got the call. She was scared. She said, "Mommy, please come get me," Patterson said. The school was not in session the 2 days following the shooting, and they were allowed to re-enter the building Friday to collect their belongings. Schaefer said she and other staff members gathered Monday night to broach the topic with students. They received advice from Frank DeAngelis, the principal of Columbine, in 1999. He said he learned really fast that you have got to do things to take care of yourself or you will not be able to help anybody else. "And I think that is helping us," Schaefer said. Students returned to classes Tuesday and were met with therapy dogs, Schaefer said. Many teachers spent the day trying to help the students process what had happened. "It's harrowing to live it through all the perspectives of where they were and how they felt, those that were trapped in bathrooms, or hiding in the media center or evacuated to the auditorium," she said. "We haven't had all the kids return yet. There are a lot of parents and kids who are still scared." Just 2 days before the shooting at Mount Tabor High School, a 15-year-old student shot another juvenile at New Hanover High School in Wilmington, North Carolina. A fight between several students escalated into a chaotic scene inside a school catwalk. Authorities locked down and later evacuated the school. The teachers at New Hanover High School developed lesson plans for what to do with their students on the first day back. When the shooting happened at Mount Tabor, they emailed over their lesson plans. "They're only 2 days ahead of us, and they thought of us. I will be forever grateful for that," Schaefer said. "Sadly, since I anticipate that this will not be the last time there is school violence, I intend to pay that forward." A week after the shooting at Mount Tabor, some kids were crying at school Wednesday, Nabria said. Her mother, Patterson, said Nabria does better with in-person learning and needs to be back in school. "But she's scared. She doesn't want to go to school, and I don't blame her for not wanting to go to school. It's traumatizing," Patterson said. "How do we know this won't happen again?" Last month, 3 days into the school year, a shooting at an Albuquerque middle school left a 13-year-old student dead. The school canceled classes the following school day. Weeks later, 2 students were shot just after dismissal outside an Indiana high school. The school switched to remote learning the following school day. On Wednesday, reports of an active shooter at a nearby Indiana high school triggered a similar panic. Lake Central High School in St. John and surrounding schools were locked down. St. John Police Chief Steve Flores said no guns were found at the school or fired. Flores said a student had heard what he believed was a gun being loaded in the bathroom and called 911. Al Sanchez Jr. said he got a text from his 17-year-old daughter early Wednesday informing him the school was locking down. Sanchez said he gathered outside the school with other parents, who were crying and freaking out because they couldn't reach their kids. Sanchez said he got little information from the school district and didn't know what was going on as he watched SWAT, FBI, and local police teams swarm the area. His daughter, meanwhile, crammed into a hidden room in the back of the school's library with 15 other students, reading rumors about student deaths on her phone. "All I could do is tell her everything will be okay, and I love her," Sanchez said. Wednesday evening, all she could do was lay down, he said. "She is honestly mentally drained," he said. Sanchez said it was frustrating students were expected to return to Lake Central High School Thursday. Even though it was not a real active shooter like they reported, they still felt the trauma and the emotional stress and feeling of fear, he said. "This wasn't just a drill. It was real life." Sanchez said he's happy his daughter can return to in-person learning for her senior year, but he's disturbed by what happened Wednesday. "It will have an everlasting effect," he said. Students, teachers, and parents said they need time to process the traumatic events but are confident their communities will come together. "We were rebuilding after virtual, we were redefining ourselves in the first week and a half, and now we have to do that again as a school where there was a school shooting," Schaefer said. "We're now redefining ourselves again as an even stronger community,"